do it on math with the lights off.
No. Okay. Problem A, this is 9.5, 1A, says we've got this sequence of numbers. And we're going to add them up. And I really don't want to do it individually, but of course I could. I want to find the sum. So first of all, is it arithmetic?
Yes.
If you're going to use our new formula, which we just got down, it has to be arithmetic. This formula only works for arithmetic. This one is because the common difference is what? What am I adding to get from term to term? Looks like I'm adding 5. Okay. How many terms are there altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm adding up 8 terms. Remember, n is how many terms? I'm adding up 8 of them. So the sum of 8 terms, according to my formula, will be 8 over 2. This is the first term, which is negative 18. This is the last term,
17.
which is 17. So that's 4 times negative 1. I think that's just negative 4. So if we add up that whole string of numbers, that whole list they gave you, you're going to come up with negative 4. I think that's pretty easy. Now let's look at the next one. Negative 4 is the answer. That's what I got when I plugged it into my formula. Let's look at the next one, B. Tell me about this one. Okay, it's geometric. It is not arithmetic. We are multiplying by 3 to get from term to term. So guess what? We got a formula for that too. Your formula for a geometric,
Is that S or 5?
that's an S for sum. Remember, what we're talking about doing now is adding up all of the terms. So we're adding them up, so that's a sum. How many terms are there that I want to add up this time? 5. So the sum of 5 terms will be the first term, which is negative 2, minus negative 2 times, what did you say the ratio was? What am I multiplying by?
4.
3. Multiplying by 3. So my ratio is 3. You have to figure that out. Well, first of all, you got to figure out if you're arithmetic or geometric, so you know which formula to use. Then you got to figure out what your ratio is if you're geometric. Now, thank goodness we have a calculator. Here's the first thing I want you to do, though. Before you go to the calculator, I want you to subtract that so that you only have negative 2 in the bottom. So 1 minus 3. Just do that subtraction right off the bat. I want you to type in the numerator exactly the way you see it right here. Exactly. So negative 2 minus parentheses, negative 2, close parentheses, parentheses 3, close parentheses to the 5th, equals
972.
484. William, type it in exactly like this. So negative 2 minus parentheses, negative 2, parentheses, parentheses, 3, parentheses, 5. Or 2 to the 5th. Did you get 484?
Embedded.
Okay. Now, take 484 and hit divided by -2, and your answer, the sum of all these, is -242.
That's really long, Miss Ford.
I know. You can. Now the problem with doing, absolutely, when there's only 5 terms, sure, that would be so easy. But what if there were 50 or 500? Yeah. We don't want to rely on just adding them up because that can be problematic in some situations. All right, what's next? Here we go. What's happening in problem C?
Why the plus signs?
Because we are finding the sum, so we're adding. We were adding in the one before also, even though they're commas. So those are the individual terms. It's like 5, comma 9, comma
So it's the same
13.
thing as like all the other problems, this one just looks different.
Exactly, because they were adding. I put plus signs in instead of commas. But since I am adding in the problem, it makes sense to put plus signs in there.
So it's just plus 4 with it?
Okay, so it's arithmetic. That's the first thing. It's arithmetic, which means this is the formula I'm going to use, because that's my arithmetic formula. And remember, in this formula, that stands for the first term, and this stands for the last term. Well, look, don't I have that?
Yep.
I know that the first term is 5, and the last term is 53. Right here, I know that. What do I not know? The total number of terms, because I stuck that ... in there. So in my other examples, I could just count because I had all the numbers, but now I don't know what this is. I don't know if there's 10 or 20 or 80, I don't know.
Should we figure that out?
We can figure it out. I mean, yes, I'm going to show you how to figure it out quickly. You can figure it out by just, okay, I'm adding 4, so the next one would be 21, and the next one, But again, that can be very time consuming. So here's how you can always find your number of terms. Go back to your original formula. This is arithmetic, so I'm going back to my arithmetic formula. This is the very first one I used. Now, what does A sub n stand for? The last term. That's what A sub n is, the last term. So we know that's 53. So 53 equals the first term, which is 5, plus the difference. What did you tell me we were doing to get from term to term? Add 4, so plus 4 times n minus 1. Now kids, I still don't know n, but am I going to be able to figure it out now? Am I going to be able to solve that? So if I don't know n, and I don't want to have to count individual terms, I can use my original formulas to find n. That will always work. So how do I solve this? What do you think we should do to solve that?
Distribute the 4.
Distribute. So 53 equals 5 plus 4n minus 4. Okay,
Then, come on.
so 53 equals 1 plus 4n.
And then subtract the 1.
So 52
And divide.
equals 4n, so n equals 13. Now, we just did all that work. That is not the answer. That is the number that's going to go right here in this formula. because that was the problem. I knew the first and the last, but I didn't know n, but now I do. So I'm gonna put a 13 right here. And this is gonna be my answer. So 5 plus 53. I got 377.
I did too.
Perfect.
Wouldn't the 13 also go like?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sum of 13 terms. That isn't really the answer. This is the answer, but yes. 377 is the sum of 13 terms. Yep. Gabe, you want to take your hood off for me? Thank you. Okay. Complicated problem. Actually, formulas make it easy to just plug in, but you needed both formulas. This one gave me my answer, but I had to do all this to figure out what to put in for 13. If that blew your mind, look at the next one.
Oh. We skip
Can
it.
you add this one?
Well, it has decimals in it. Remember, the first thing that you need to do is figure out what kind of numbers you're dealing with. So we got 0.08, and then 0.4, and then 2, and and 1250. Now you need to figure out, to get from here to here, and then to here, am I multiplying by something, or am I adding something? You think it doesn't look like I'm adding. It looks, I must be multiplying. What am I multiplying by? 5? How'd you figure that out, Gabe?
5 times 0.8 is 0.4 times.
Okay, so you just kind of eyeballed it and figured it out? You could do 0.4 divided by 0.08, absolutely. And that should match 2 divided by 0.4, right? And it does, so our ratio is 5. Which means that's the formula we're going to use, because this is the formula that adds up geometric. Geometric means you're multiplying. So we are. Okay, here we go. This formula says S sub n equals the first term, 0.08, minus 0.08 times 5, oh shoot, to the n. I don't know n. I don't know how many numbers there are in there. Just like last time. I can't do the problem unless I know what that is. How did I figure it out last time? Use the other formula. Only, Caroline, this time, since it's geometric, I'll use this formula, because this is my geometric formula. And this formula says the last term equals the first term times the ratio to the n minus first. Remember, a sub n is last term, nth term, last term. First term, ratio, okay. How in the world are we going to solve that? What do we do first? You all should know this because we did it back in chapter 3. What do we have to do first? Divide by 0.08. So 1250 divided by 0.08. 15625 equals 5 to the n minus first. Now, this number right here is 5 to the something. I have no idea what. So somebody take a guess. 5 to what power do you think? Take a guess.
4.
5 to the 4th, okay? Now 5 to the 4th is only 625. So I need a number bigger than 4, right?
14.
So 5 to the 14th,
5 to the 6.
oh geez, 5 to the 14th is like 61 trillion or something.
5
It's
to the
huge.
8.
So 5 to the 8th is 390. It's a little bit bigger than this, so we're getting close though.
That's gonna be 5 to the 6th.
5 to the 6th.
That's my guess.
This number is what I get when I do 5 to the 6th. So by trial and error, 5 to the 6th equals 5 to the n minus 1st. So we just picked a number. We started with 4, and it wasn't big enough. So then we picked a bigger number, and it was too big. So then we came back down, and we just keep going till we get a number, or till we get a power that gives us what we want. Okay? Now, if 5 to the 6th equals 5 to the n minus 1, what does n equal? 7. Because doesn't this say 6 has to equal n minus 1? Don't these have to match? So n is 7. Now, what did we do that for? So that we could come up here and put a 7 into that formula? Now, I'm going to put that into my calculator, but first, what's 1 minus 5? -4. So I'm going to do that first. Now I'm going to type my numerator in exactly as it looks. 0.08 minus 0.08, parentheses 5, close parentheses, to the 7th equals, and then I will divide that number by -4. And the answer to the problem is 1562.48. Hopefully someone matches that.
Yep.
You already divided it by negative.
Yep, I already divided it by -4. That's the final answer. It's a lot of work. Not hard, but it's a lot of work.
What did you just solve for?
What? This final answer, William, is the sum in problem D. See those numbers in problem D? This is what you get if you added them all up.
Okay.
There's a big chunk of them missing in the middle. So you can't just type away on your calculator unless you figure out what all those missing ones are first. So this formula allows us to go ahead and add them up without even knowing what all the middle terms are.
Are you gonna give us the formulas?
Depends. Depends how happy you make me.
It's a lot of formulas.
I participated
so far-
a lot today in this for it. I think you should give us.
All right. Okay, we're ready for number 2. Here we go, part 2. Find the sum of the first 90 terms of this sequence. So I've got my 2 formulas up here. When it says find the sum, I know I'm either using this one or this one. These are my sum. S stands for sum. So I am going to find S sub 90. 90 terms. N is 90, so S sub 90. How do I decide which formula to use? What does it depend on? Arithmetic or geometric, right? So look at your numbers. What do you think? What's going on there? Arithmetic? Because we're getting from term to term by adding 3. So I'm going to use this formula right here. And that formula says take n over 2, so that'll be 90 over 2. Then what does this stand for? A sub 1, that is our first term, which is -2. Oh, shooty tooty. what do I need? The last term, right? Which would be the 90th term,
Yeah.
a sub 90. I have no idea what a sub 90 is, and I do not want to try to count them all out to figure that out. Do I have a formula that will tell me the 90th term? Isn't it this one? So once again, in order to get the answer, I have to do some side work. So a sub 90 is going to be -2. What did you say the common difference was? 3? Times 89. Where did the 89 come from? What's n? N is 90. So n minus 1 is 89. So I'll type that in on my calculator. -2 plus 3 times 89. That's 265. Someone, I guarantee it, will put that in the answer blank. That isn't the answer, is it? What did I do that for? So that I knew what went here? So now that I figured that out, I can put 265 here, and then I can find the answer to the question. So that's 45 times 263. 45 times 263. The answer to the problem is 11,835. That is what you would get if you actually sat there and typed in over and over again.
Man. I got you enough for today.
Almost. Almost. Gonna do one more here. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. It's the same thing, only this time we're finding the sum of 12 terms. So the directions say find the sum of n terms. So since n is 12, we're finding s sub 12. So I heard somebody say something. What'd you say?
Multiply by 2.
Multiplying by 2. If we are multiplying by 2, then we are geometric. And if we are geometric, we're using this formula.
Yep.
So here we go. The first term is 0.1. The ratio is 2. You already figured that out. N is 12. Oh, do I need to find anything else? I got everything I need. This is awesome. Please make this -1 before you get started. Type in the numerator, 0.1 minus 0.1 times 2 to the 12th. And then divide it by -1, and you should get 409.5. Everybody get that? Okay. One more day and we'll be done with this. These notes, then we'll review and we'll have our tests. So I don't know how many days we have left, but we're filling them up.
What happened to the quiz?
Huh?
What happened to the quiz? No quiz?
Yeah, we'll have a quiz. We'll probably practice for a quiz on Monday and then take the quiz.
Monday?
Fair.
Huh?
When?
Monday we'll practice when we're virtual.
It's 4 times.